I begin in the name of the God whose mercy is profound, whose kindness is forever. I have started the discussion on beliefs, and this particular presentation is focused on belief in God. We have seen that the Quran emphasizes the significance of use of intellect. Whatever we understand, whatever we confirm, has to go through the process of intellectual scrutiny. Obviously, when that's the important criterion, then the foremost pillar of the entire religion, belief in God, has also got to go through the same scrutiny, the same process. What does it mean when we say that we believe in God? Obviously, a traditional understanding is that we believe. That's what we have been informed. Right from our childhood days, we've been hearing our parents, relatives, and the entire environment, Muslim environment, talking about God. So, He must be there. But that's not enough. That's a traditional understanding, the understanding of the community. At some stage in our lives, we've got to convert that understanding of the community to our own personal understanding, or else that understanding would be rejected by our own personal journey of intellectual scrutiny. But when we say that we believe in God, when I say or somebody else says, what it means is that He's there. I'm convinced. I know that He's there. Now, when I make that statement, I've got to justify it. I've got to make myself feel comfortable first, and also help others to at least know why I am comfortable with this claim. Now, when we make that claim that we believe in God, we ought to clarify first, before proceeding with the arguments, how do we confirm realities? How do we say that a certain thing is real? It's true. It's not just a make-believe. It's not an assumption, but it's true. Well, there are certain sources which help us confirm the presence, the existence of realities. Essentially, the sources are three. The sources of learning are three. One of them is intuition. There are many realities that we know intuitively. We already know them. Call it by birth. It's a knowledge that we did not do anything to get, to reach at. It was already there with us. Like, for instance, our aesthetic sense. Even when we are children, we are very young. There are certain things we know are good, are attractive, are beautiful, and there are certain others that are not attractive, ugly. They're not unpleasant, they're unpleasant, etc. How do we do that? Why? What is the basis? Well, we have an inner sense that has been given to us a priori. Okay, in our aesthetics, we differ with each other in some matters, but in most matters, shall I say, in the most important matters, I think there's very little difference. There is a scene which is beautiful, which is amazing. There is another which is very depressing, is very unattractive, etc. So, likewise, we have We have been given our moral appreciation as another aspect of our intuitive understanding. Telling lies is bad. Telling the truth is good, desirable. This is not what we have learned from our elders. I mean, even if, God forbid, if I see my father, my mother, my elders telling lies, my inner conscience would not say that this is brilliant. I mean, they're great. I would feel uncomfortable. So, I've got it already. The Quran claims that likewise is the case with God. We already know Him. And goes on to tell us that this understanding of God that we already have is because of the fact that we, all humans, have met God. Not in a way that we've seen Him physically, but this experience of ours was what we might call spiritual. There was an assembly of the entire human race. All humans were there in their spiritual form, and God asked this question according to the Quran, chapter 7, Surah Al-Araf, verse 172, 173. Alastu bi rabbikum? Am I not your Lord? Qalu bala. We all said, why not? So the Quran tells us that humans know God intuitively. And this intuitive knowledge of God is because of that experience which all humans have gone through. Obviously, a very obvious question is, why don't we remember it? Well, the answer is that it's a fact that there are certain experiences that we have gone through, we went through, they happened, they are a reality, but we have forgotten them. So how do we confirm that they happened? Well, there are certain traces, signs, which help us in recalling them, or confirming that they happened even if we can't recall them in our memory. When we are kids, sometimes it so happens that we get injured, we fall down, and there remains a mark on some part of our face which confirms that this incident took place. We don't remember it, but it happened, and the mark is a proof of it. I have one of my ears, the upper part of it, twisted. And obviously it must have been because I used to play with my ears and twist them. And it so happened at some stage that I did it so strongly that, it did not come back to its original position. So we know God. We know God by birth. And the fact that all humans, in some phase or phases of their lives, whether they believe in God formally, officially or not, when they are confronted with a situation wherein they are in danger, an extremely difficult situation, the Quran says that people, they ask for help from God, one God. It's not necessary that it would happen to all humans, but it does happen to many humans. So, in a situation of extreme fear of losing one's life or some such similar situation causes the inner understanding, appreciation, or call it memory that has sunk deep down in our personality emerges. The other source of knowledge that we humans have been endowed with is the most obvious source of sense perception. I've already talked about it. We see realities and we confirm that they are there. We hear and we confirm that what we hear is a reality. Likewise, we taste, we smell, and we touch, and the realities are perceived. We confirm them. The same category of sense perception can also include the realities which we did not see, and yet we confirm them. Like, for instance, the reality of many stories, many different instances in the history of humankind where things happened. We didn't see them, we didn't hear them directly, but there were others, hundreds and thousands of others, who perceived those realities, and they are now a part of history, part of folklore, legends in different communities, some of them known to almost all humans. For example, Alexander the Great was an emperor, a conqueror. In the subcontinent, we had a Mughal dynasty, etc. I mean, there are many outstanding humans, many stories in the history of mankind that are now undeniable, and this is because of the fact that they were seen, heard by many people who were contemporaries, who were present at the time when these stories were evolving, were being made, and people started mentioning them, narrating them to the next generations, and they've reached us in a way that there is no dispute, there is no doubt about the fact that they actually happened. The Quran tells us that one such story is the story of our great-great-grand ancestors, Adam and Eve, who met God and went through a certain process in a certain garden for a certain while. It was a direct interaction between them and God. Did they see God? I don't know. Did they hear Him? Most probably yes. The Quran mentions the story of Adam and Eve interacting with God at least 7 times. One of them is mentioned in Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter 2, verses 35 to 39. Now, obviously, later on, when the story tells us that the Almighty asked Adam and Eve on the one hand and Satan, Iblis on the other, to go to the world, earth, the place where they will reside for a certain while. When they had children, it is impossible to imagine that they would not have talked to their progeny about that story. And it's unthinkable that their children would not have talked about that story of their parents and the grandchildren of Adam and Eve. And that's how this story has gone across to the different corners of the world, wherever humans chose to go and live. That is why God, Allah, Bhagwan, Yahweh, etc., different names are mentioned for that being who created us, because at some stage in the earlier part of human history, he was actually experienced through sense perception. A third source of knowledge that we humans have is the source of intellect. Our intellect doesn't create any information, any story, or the understanding of reality on its own. It gets information, data, from our intuition, realities that we all already have by birth, or through our sense perception, things that we see around or things that have come down to us from history. Intellect analyzes, categorizes, draws conclusions. A very simple example of the use of intellect is mentioned that, in the earlier times when there weren't any factories, industry, tractors, automobiles, etc., if a person was to see smoke billowing somewhere at a distance, the person would conclude that it must be because of fire. The fire is not visible, but the smoke, which is the consequence of fire, confirms that there should be fire in existence as well. So what I'm saying is that our intellect enables us to draw conclusions through analyzing, through categorizing. That is why the Almighty invites the reader to look at the surroundings of which he or she is a part, invites us to look inside and do introspection and look at the world around us and draw conclusions. To draw the conclusion, unavoidable conclusion, that the world that we are a part of has controlled discipline. Sun rises at a certain time, appointed, predestined, pre-appointed time, and sets at a definitely known time. That schedule never gets violated. Likewise, crops, they grow. We know that there are laws of nature, numerous that have been discovered. In other words, there is control. The Quran calls it Qudrat. It's the control, the might that is enabling things to happen in a systematic way. Then there is another aspect of this existence that we are a part of, that the Quran points at and draws the attention of our intellect, which is providence. We are being provided for. This extremely well-organized world, a controlled existence, is enabling our existence to continue. So we are in need of numerous different things, elements, without which we can't survive. And lo and behold, they're all there. We need air to breathe, we need water to drink, we need food to eat. There's so many other things that we need. We need sun, we need a good, reasonable temperature, etc. And all human needs that are demanded by us for us to be able to survive are there. And not just there in a way that we survive, well, we flourish, we thrive. So there is providence as well. A third reality that we experience if we use our intellect, which the Quran urges us to do, is the reality of mercy. Mercy means you are getting things which you like, which you are enjoying, but you don't deserve it. It's something over and above justice. When we say that there is justice in a certain system, what it means is that you are getting what you deserve, what you ought to get. But when there is in a system mercy as well, it's over and above justice. You don't deserve it, and you're getting it undeservingly. Life is a blessing. I don't have to tell you, we all love it. As they say, we are loving it. But what did we do to get it? Nothing. So there is this phenomenon of getting blessings which we enjoy undeservingly, called mercy. Finally, there is something else which the Quran points at, which is wisdom. You know, the world that we are living in, it's not that things are happening in a way that are absolutely simple, crude, rudimentary. Well, it seems that there is a plan going on. Complex planning has enabled this world, our life, to be the way it is. To just give you a simple example, we all have gone through the process of coming out of the wombs of our mothers and spending years of our early life in a way that we were completely dependent on others, causing lots and lots of trouble for our parents and others who were looking after us. Had we not gotten their attention, we wouldn't have been able to survive. But you know what? Hundreds and thousands of children who are born into this world, every day, before they come to this world, there's already an arrangement in waiting for them, in the form of the love and concern of the parents, mother in particular, father, etc. And there are so many other examples of certain objectives that need to be achieved in this life, and the arrangements for those objectives to be achieved, arrangements that are there in a way, existing in a way which is amazing. So there is planning, there is wisdom. Somebody who looks at this world with her intellect, intelligently, and is not biased, is not influenced by some external philosophy or some ideas that would influence his honest, intelligent probing, has to continue to wonder as to why is there control, why is there providence, why is there mercy, why is there wisdom in this world. If there is no explanation offered, then the person should be confused. Life is a puzzle if there is no answer to these questions offered. The Quran tells us that there is only one answer, which is God. Quran says in chapter 24, Surah Nur, verse 25, Allahu nuru samawati wal ard. God is the light of the heavens and the earth. That is, belief in God is the light of the heavens and the earth. You believe in God and you are able to know that God, the mighty, is controlling. God, the provider, is providing. God, the merciful, is offering, spreading across His mercy. And God, the wise, is enabling this wise world full of wisdom to operate wisely. That is what is a simple presentation of belief in God by the Quran, but it is done in various different ways, enabling human mind to look at this world and God's signs in a way that an unbiased investigation, probing and reflection would enable all humans to believe in God.